morning, everyone. It's Monday, August 11th. We've got a new week ahead of us. Crop tour starting in earnest this week. Market's showing a little bit of life. Trade policy uncertainty still very much intact. Will China quadruple soybean purchases from the U.S.? I think is the big question today. And soybeans are up 16 cents this morning. So all following social media posts from President Trump, and we'll kind of see how this evolves. It's some puzzle pieces to put together, though. I think we'll check in on the Dalian meal and hog markets. They don't seem to be showing us much new this morning, but Danny's going to break down exactly what's driving this rally in soybeans.
Yeah, Ben. So as we think about what happened, we opened lower overnight. Sunday started down, if you will, due to favorable weather, and the idea is that big crops are getting bigger. And then around 11 o'clock Chicago time, Trump tweeted saying that China is worried about its shortage of soybeans. And our great farmers have the most robust soybeans in the world, and we hope that China quadruples its purchases from the U.S. Now, I see this as a direct challenge to the Chinese. I think this is something that Trump is being Trump and challenging Xi. I doubt that President Xi will take the bait, but we are in this window when we're uncertain whether the United States will extend the 90-day tariff window. My suspicion is that they will, but this has really got the soybean market higher. And so when you have algo trading and these headlines come across, this is what you usually get. Now, I've called all the folks that I know in the cash market. They can tell me that China has not been calling. So although President Trump wants to talk about China buying U.S. soybeans, maybe they will in the future, but at least today they're not picking up the phone and calling the major exporters to get that done. Whether it's in Europe or the United States, I think that's very important. So the market rallied on the news, but we now need to see confirmation that China is actually buying U.S. soybeans. So we can watch the Gulf, we can watch the PNW, we can try to see if there is any basis increases. But as of this report, I have nothing to say that China is showing any interest. In fact, their media within China is not even reporting this. So to me, it's a Trump challenge. We'll see how far it goes and whether or not we can get an extension of tariffs in the next 24 hours. As you look at where this all happened overnight, this will just give you a flavor of what went on. As I said, about 2200 or 11 o'clock, we saw the soybean market just kind of move sharply higher. Went from down to up about 24 cents, all in a matter of, let's call it 30 to 40 minutes. And this is all due to the Trump tweet that we talked about before. Then we're sagging now as the cash markets are not reflecting any demand. And I think that'll kind of highlight the session as we head into a USDA crop report tomorrow. And there'll be a lot of positioning in the market here today. We did have good rainfall over the weekend across much of the Western Corn Belt, including Wisconsin. Much better rains than expected in Kansas. I think that's a sleeper that really caught me. But as you look at things, pretty good rains. We still need to bring rains into the Delta. We're still lacking to some degree in the Eastern Corn Belt, but we do have chances in the next, let's call it 72 hours to get some meaningful rain there. And that's what the market will be looking at. This is the European weather model's projection on rainfall into the end of August, the 26th. You can see here that we do have rain pretty much for everyone, though Arkansas, maybe Texas is lacking a little bit. But this is a different forecast than what we had last year when we went dry about the 10th of August and stayed dry till about the 10th of October. So thinking about this year's crop in terms of pod fill and pod availability and beans per pod, this should work out much, much better this year. Though, again, there's a little bit of dryness through Arkansas stretching into Tennessee that I think we have to watch. Not a big soybean area, but still important. But nonetheless, a pretty good weather forecast looking forward. And then finally, as we finish up, Ben, this is kind of the departure from normal, 1 to 4 degrees above average. Again, nothing excessive in heat other than maybe what's going to occur across the Pacific Northwest and then inland to the Palouse. Generally speaking, the southern U.S. is pretty average. So that hurricane we were worried about last week looks like it'll become a fish storm. By that, I'm saying take a track into the northern Atlantic. So the coast is clear in terms of what we see for weather, and it looks generally okay, though I would like more rain across the Delta. That's the only change I would like to make to the forecast to give it something optimal.
Yeah, really good rundown. So we are back to watching China completely. And I think this is how this is going to work. Funds last Tuesday were short about 66,000 contracted soybeans, maybe closer to 70,000, at least last night. There will be some kind of spooks in the market. That's what we've got today. But I think to your point, Dan, we got to see them actually show up. The burden's kind of on the bulls now. And last year, China really showed up in bulk, buying what they needed to buy from the U.S. about November. So it's still many weeks away. And the devil will be in the details. How much will China buy between November and January? It's really, really critical to the U.S. soybean balance sheet. Otherwise, I think weather still lingers in the background. Again, we're going to start seeing around Illinois and Iowa Wednesday morning. And so everyone watching this will be very much in the loop on what we're seeing in terms of yield estimates, kernel depth, numbers, rows around, et cetera. We're going to fine tune our yield estimate this week following that tour. So same things, trade policy, weather. We're still at the mindset that rallies are going to struggle, but do provide opportunity to those needing to catch up on things. So, any final words before we start the Monday?
No, it's not how much China will buy, Ben. I'm still a kind of guy that believes China may not buy anything. I mean, I really worry about them, and there's no indication they will. They don't need the beans per se because they bought Brazilian through October. Maybe we get a little business in, let's say, November, December, but I'm real worried here that this challenge by Trump is not going to go over very well. But let's see what happens.
Yeah, tensions for sure. So as always, all the best in the market today, and we'll be back tomorrow with more information, see what we find from China. Thanks.